Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States. He successfully led his country through a great constitutional, military, and moral crisis, the American Civil War, preserving the Union while ending slavery and promoting economic and financial modernization. After opposing the expansion of slavery in the United States in his campaign debates and speeches, Lincoln secured the Republican nomination and was elected president in 1860. He issued his Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 and promoted the passage of the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, abolishing slavery. On April 11, 1865, 2 days after Lee's army surrendered to Grant, John Wilkes Booth attended a speech at the White House in which Lincoln supported the idea of enfranchising the former slaves. Furiously provoked, Booth decided on assassination. Upon hearing the fatal gunshot, Henry Rathbone quickly jumped from his seat next to the president and tried to prevent Booth from escaping. He was unsuccessful, and Booth vaulted over the rail of the presidential box down to the stage below. Recovering quickly, John Wilkes Booth looked into the audience and yelled, "Sic Semper Tyrannis," and made his escape. Booth had assigned George Atzerodt to kill Vice President Andrew Johnson, who was staying at the Kirkwood Hotel in Washington. Atzerodt was to go to the Vice President's room at 10:15 p.m. and shoot him. On April 14th, Atzerodt rented room 126 at the Kirkwood, directly above the room where Johnson was staying. He arrived at the Kirkwood at the appointed time and went to the bar downstairs, carrying on his person a gun and a knife. Atzerodt asked the bartender, Michael Henry, about the Vice President's character and behavior. After spending some time at the hotel saloon, Atzerodt got drunk and wandered away through the streets of Washington. Nervous, he decided to toss his knife away into the street. He made his way to the Pennsylvania House Hotel by 2 a.m., where he checked into a room and went to sleep. Booth had assigned Lewis Powell to murder Secretary of State William H. Seward. On April 5th, Seward was thrown from his carriage, suffering a concussion, a jaw broken in 2 places, and a broken right arm. William Bell, Seward's butler, answered the door. Powell told Bell that he had medicine for Seward from his physician, Dr. Verdi, then he was to personally deliver and show Seward how to take the medicine. Upon gaining admittance to the residence, Powell began making his way up to the stairs to Seward's 3rd-floor bedroom, after much persuasion on his part. At the top of the staircase, he was stopped by Seward's son, Frederick W. Seward. Powell told Frederick the same story that he had told Bell. After hearing voices in the hall, Seward's daughter Fanny opened the door to Seward's room and said, "Fred, father is awake now," and then closed the door, thus revealing to Powell where Seward was located. Frederick was suspicious of the intruder and told Powell that his father was asleep. Initially, Powell started back down the stairs when suddenly he jolted around and drew his revolver, pointing it at Frederick's forehead. He pulled the trigger, but the gun misfired. Instead of pulling the trigger again, Powell panicked and bludgeoned Frederick Seward about the head with it. Seward crumpled to the floor unconscious, but Powell's gun was damaged beyond repair. Finally gaining admittance into Seward's room, Powell viciously attacked him. After the attack, Powell left on horse, riding through the streets of Washington. Within half an hour of his escape from Ford's Theater, Booth crossed over the Navy Yard Bridge and out of the city into Maryland. David Harold, an accomplice, made it across the same bridge less than an hour later and rendezvoused with Booth. After retrieving weapons and supplies previously stored at Surrattsville, Harold and Booth went to Samuel A. Mudd, a local doctor who determined that Booth's leg had been broken and put it in a splint. Later, Mudd made a pair of crutches for the assassin. After spending a day at Mudd's house, Booth and Harold hired a local man to guide them to Samuel Cox's house. Cox in turn took them to Thomas Jones, who hid Booth and Harold in Takaya's swamp near his house for 5 days until they could cross the Potomac River. On the afternoon of April 24th, they arrived at the farm of Richard H. Garrett, a tobacco farmer. Booth told Garrett he was a wounded Confederate soldier. Booth and Harold remained at Garrett's farm until April 26th, when Union soldiers from the 16th New York Cavalry arrived at the farm. The soldiers surrounded Booth and Harold in the barn. Harold surrendered, but Booth refused to come out when the soldiers called out for his surrender, stating boldly, "I will not be taken alive." Upon hearing this, the soldiers set fire to the barn. Booth scrambled for the back door, brandishing a rifle in one hand and a pistol in the other. A soldier named Boston Corbett crept up behind the barn and shot Booth in the neck, severing his spinal cord. Booth was carried out onto the steps of the barn. A soldier dribbled water into his mouth. Booth told the soldier, "Tell my mother I died for my country." In agony and unable to move his limbs, he asked a soldier to lift his hands before his face and whispered as he gazed at them, "Useless, useless." These were his last words. Booth died on the porch of the Garrett farm 2 hours after Corbett had shot him. George Atzerodt hid out in a farm in Germantown, Maryland, about 25 miles northwest of Washington, but was tracked down and arrested on April 20th. Lewis Powell was unfamiliar with Washington, and without the services of his guide, David Harold, who had abandoned him, Powell wandered the streets for 3 days before finding his way back to the Surratt house on April 17th. He found detectives already there. Powell claimed to be a ditch digger hired by Mary Surratt, but she denied knowing him. He was promptly arrested.
Sic Semper Tyrannis.
Look this up.
Sic Semper Tyrannis! Sic Semper Tyrannis!
Oh, piss. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, there is a witch!